Hey, this is a spiritual successor to The Problem with Christmas Movies. That's a video I did a few years back, and you might want to go and watch that one first. You don't necessarily have to. This one is not nearly as scripted as the other one. It's kind of rambly, but I figure you might want a little context beforehand.
So today kind of started out as normal. I'm kind of just doing my own thing when my wife sends me a text. Yeah, I actually get to call her my wife now. It's neat. But she sends me a text with an article talking about how a bunch of conservative parents are getting upset with a new Christmas movie. So I'm like, okay, well, nothing else is going on right now, so I'll look into this. And they're all getting upset because a new Christmas movie that's come out based on the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series is supposedly ruining the magic of Santa Claus for the children that watch the movie, apparently. Now, it has been a hot minute since I have read a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. So, obviously, I read the article and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to watch this myself to figure out what people are so upset about. So that's what we did. Once I got home, my wife and I sat down, we both watched the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Christmas Cabin Fever, and it's actually good. Like, I didn't go in with very high expectations or anything, but I'm surprised at how good this Christmas special actually is. Like, obviously there's a few inconsistencies here and there, but overall the production value is honestly great. The animation style is a little weird, like it is adapting the style of the books themselves directly into 3D. It's a little jarring if you're not ready for it, but it grew on me after a while, so it wasn't too much of an issue. Nothing that really hurt my enjoyment of the movie itself, because honestly, altogether, it's a really good Christmas special. Like, Greg Heffley has a really nice arc of being completely selfish at the beginning of the movie and becoming somewhat altruistic and selfless by the end of it, and it's entirely justified and within character for him. But as for the part that conservative parents were freaking out about, the whole arc of the film itself is that Greg Heffley really wants his new, game console for Christmas, but he's constantly terrified that he's gonna end up on Santa's naughty list for any particular reason. Like, there's a whole gag with an elf on the shelf and everything. But there's a scene in the film where his mom asks him to look in a closet. He looks on the top shelf and sees back there that his mom has already bought it for him for Christmas Day, and that's kind of a reassuring moment for him. Essentially, a lot of conservative parents seem to have freaked the hell out about this. I guess they didn't bother to watch the movie themselves before showing it to their children, but it becomes like a central plot point. Greg overcomes an obstacle he's facing throughout the whole film. He talks to a character he had wronged earlier in the film and ends up deciding, hey, I already know I'm gonna get this game console, but in retrospect, I don't really need it, but I happen to know someone who needs it a lot more than I do. So I don't really see what the problem is there. This is a really good message to be sending, and I don't understand why so many people are so fucking upset about it. And that got me thinking, what is it about the nature of Christmas movies themselves to where this kind of thing is somehow unacceptable, but so many other basic bland Christmas movies are? Why are they freaking out about this kind of thing now when there have to be other Christmas movies that have had similar points, right? And I really got to thinking about it, and honestly, I cannot name off the top of my head a lot of Christmas movies that have a similar viewpoint in terms of the message they're trying to give. The main reason I can't stand Hallmark Christmas movies, and this is something I didn't really go a whole lot into in the previous video, but the main reason I hate a majority of Hallmark Christmas movies isn't just because they're copy-paste from each other, even though they very much are. They're bland, they're formulaic, there's absolutely no creativity behind them. It's the same generic cookie-cutter film every single time. But what really gets me to loathe them so much is because Hallmark Christmas movies are not made from the joy of the holiday season. They're made with this explicit intent of advertising gift cards, ornaments, and small little gifts for you to go to your nearest Hallmark or go to Hallmark.com, go and buy that stuff as soon as you can, and surely your family will feel the same joy of Christmas as these random blonde-haired, blue-eyed people in our 600th Hallmark movie. And that's kind of a running theme with some of the most popular and highest-grossing Christmas movies of all time. Like Home Alone 1 had this really nice message about, like, your family being the most important thing during the holidays, but then you had Home Alone 2 where he's going on a massive fucking spending spree when it kind of erodes the entire meaning and development that Kevin had in the first movie, or how the entire production and creation of Christmas movies as a whole has become so corporatized and capitalized that it erodes any original meaning of the original source material as it is. Like, let's not forget that Illumination's version of The Grinch is the highest grossing Christmas movie ever fucking made, even though that film is a slap in the face to everything the original Grinch was made for. And frankly, I have not heard a single fucking person talking about that version of the movie this year. You know which version they talk about? The Jim Carrey one. Yeah, I don't think it's great, but it's honestly leagues better than the Illumination one. Look, I've already made an entire video talking about how much I hate Illumination, and I don't want to waste any more fucking breath talking about them, so I'm just gonna move on from that point. Oh wait, never mind. I'm just now seeing that the copyright claim that's on it has now blocked the video, so you can't even watch it. Thanks, Universal! I so do adore how fair use is not enforced on this fucking website. Like, when I talk about my favorite Christmas movies, and this is something I got to thinking about myself, the Christmas movies that I love the most seem to be the ones that deconstruct the holiday, and that doesn't seem to be a sentiment shared by fucking anybody. In fact, that's a recurring theme across all of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Scrooge the Musical starring Albert Finney is my favorite interpretation of A Christmas Carol of all time and is easily my favorite Christmas movie of all time as well. It expands a little bit further on the book in terms of the people that Scrooge actively takes advantage of. Like, yes, it talks about in the book how he's not paying his one employee very well and he kind of treats him poorly and his employees living in squalid conditions, but in Scrooge the Musical, they actually expand on this by showing other townsfolk that are in debt to Scrooge.
And there'll be a free can of Bronzer every night for the coming year in gratitude for your infinite kindness in giving me another 2 weeks to pay.
1 week.
10 days?
1 week.
1 week.
Even showcased during the sequence with the Ghost of Christmas Future by the fact that everyone that was in debt to him is more than thrilled by the fact that he's dead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me.
And once Scrooge has his revelation, it's no longer something of, oh no, if I don't save my soul, I'm going to burn in hell. Although there is a point in the movie where that is a huge influence. He actively makes the decision that if he is going to better his own life, he needs to start by the people around him that he has actively mistreated. In the book, it's, oh, he buys a goose for his employee, oh, he starts giving to charity, oh, he gets help for Tiny Tim. But in Scrooge the Musical, we show that he's buying toys for all of the children in town. He's meeting with people that are in debt to him and saying, you don't owe me anything anymore, your debt is clear, and they reprise the song from earlier during the Ghost of Christmas Future section where they were all singing about how happy they were that he was dead, but now they're genuinely grateful to him. It's so good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me.
It actively no longer becomes something of, if I don't redeem my soul, I'm going to hell. It becomes, I want to become a better person, and I'm going to do that by undoing all the damage that I have caused in a way that would be detrimental to me if I were still the person I was at the beginning of this movie. This is also reflected in a, maybe not as favorite Christmas movie of mine, but still one that I would enjoy watching if it was put on, Jingle All The Way. Just hear me out, I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Show of hands in the comments section, did anyone else have a sense of schadenfreude, I suppose, of seeing multiple different stores not have a very good turnout on Black Friday this year? Like, there's something so awesome about not seeing the absolute madness of Black Friday in stores like Best Buy and whatnot back in the year of like 2007. This has kind of been an evergreen problem for decades now, and it was encapsulated in Jingle All The Way. Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is desperately trying to get a specific toy last minute for Christmas, but he's having to deal with all of the madness of last minute shopping on Christmas because of how fucking corporatized everything's become, and it genuinely feels like a mad dash. Like, watching this movie as an adult, you can feel the frustration that Arnold Schwarzenegger's character feels throughout this entire movie. Genuinely, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger was a great casting choice for this movie. Like, don't get me wrong, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great Terminator, but my favorite movies with him are the ones where he just looks completely deranged. And at the end of the movie, he does finally get the toy that his kid wants. He's able to, satisfy his kid, but even his kid decides, I don't really need this really expensive toy because this other character that's been actively needing it for his kid needs it as well. So like, hey, here you go. Like, it's great synergy that the one character to show the most restraint in this movie is the child and not most of the adults in the movie. So ultimately, what am I getting at when I'm talking about the fundamental evergreen problem with Christmas movies, at least in context of what we discussed already? Well, I think the main problem I've been running into isn't just a problem with Christmas movies or holiday movies as a whole, but with media literacy in general. Don't get me wrong, I could go on and on about how a lot of Christmas media nowadays seems to be focused around putting the interest of capitalism first and foremost and not necessarily the spirit of giving.
Oh, come
Now
on.
you got these big fat cats sit there using working class just like me and you. They spend billions of dollars on TV advertisement, and then they sit there and use subliminal messages to suck your children's minds out.
Let him cook. Let him cook now.
Like the whole, yeah, you love Christmas, now buy a whole bunch of stuff, why don't ya? You should especially buy from the sponsor of this video, Raid Shadow No, not really, but you would absolutely believe that happening in another video. Don't deny it, you thought it was gonna happen. No, here is the problem I'm running into. When I talk about the Christmas movies that I love, I know for a fact that there are going to be people that stumble onto this video, see what I have to say about what I like about Christmas movies, and tell me that I'm wrong about the Christmas movies that I love because the movies that they like are entirely different and have something different to offer that they prefer. And normally that would be fine. Like, don't get me wrong, I've sat through debate after debate on whether or not Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie. Spoiler alert, it's both. But the debates I find more frustrating about holiday films in general have kind of surfaced in a sinister way the last couple of years. You do not have to venture very far on sites like TikTok or Twitter.
Don't you mean X?
Fuck off, I'm not calling it that.
Yeah, but the site is called X now.
If he's gonna keep dead naming his daughter, I'm gonna dead name his stupid fucking website.
Well, that makes you just as intolerant then.
Get out of my house! You don't have to look very far online to find numerous instances of people suddenly proclaiming that some of the worst movies on the planet are actually good, and anyone who said otherwise is wrong. Case in point, 8 Crazy Nights. I will not be gaslit into feeling bad about saying that this piece of shit movie that is badly written, poorly animated, and highly offensive
He no pay for his 4 scorpion board.
somehow wraps around to being a good movie just because it has a wholesome message. So fucking what? It does more harm than good at the end of the day, so why should that somehow forgive it? And if you're saying, well, if the message is good at the end of the day, then why get so upset about how much harm it actually does? I want you to take that argument and apply it to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid Christmas movie. Do you honestly believe that same argument can be applied to this movie as it can to an animated film with Rob Schneider doing a racist Chinese accent? Obviously not just that, there's other things to complain about that movie as well, and I can't believe I have to specify that, because that is the evergreen problem with Christmas movies, because it's the evergreen problem with movies as a whole. It's that media literacy itself is fucking dead. Because nobody wants to actually look into the meaning of any movie anymore, much less Christmas movies. You don't even have to see a movie to leave a bunch of reviews online talking about it. The second minute your own ideology is challenged about the holiday, or anything in general, it's suddenly an attack and it must be countered at any means necessary. Because if you somehow interpret a movie differently than me, that's a technical foul. You know what, maybe this comes off as too rambly. Maybe this doesn't have anything to do with Christmas movies and just with movies as a whole, and maybe I'm just rambling about nonsense that I only give a shit about. But I don't know, maybe there are bigger problems with Christmas movies as a whole, aside from people arguing whether or not one is good or bad. Because a majority of problems I have with modern Christmas movies is that they do nothing to address the major issue with celebrating the holiday in a modern setting. Because when a character who hates Christmas suddenly loves Christmas, the moral's now, hey, now that you love Christmas, you should celebrate with everyone by buying a whole ton of gifts. You should buy gifts from Walmart. Buy more stuff, make more money for the 1%. Don't do anything about the fact that a ton of employees just got laid off so that a bunch of rich people can get even richer. Just buy more stuff and give that stuff to more people, but make sure you buy it from us first. But we can't talk about that because too many people are complaining that a movie might have insinuated that Santa Claus isn't real. You see the problem now?